I mean fucking everything has changed, like the whole lot. Hi, welcome. It's Saturday morning. I hope this is working. This is the Art of Rock. First and foremost, I'd like to acknowledge the Tongva people as being the traditional landowners of where I am now, which is Los Angeles, California. We do this every weekend, every Saturday, actually. And I'm going to mute that. And I say hello, and everything is just way too exciting, especially when I need stuff to work and it's not working, and I feel good about my life when it's not working. Hi, welcome back. Shit is working now. I am so together. Art of Rock, every weekend, we're here. Every Saturday, this time, we're going to talk about rock and roll and how to make rock and roll. Watch it on Angelspit's Twitch. Join the damn Twitch or the YouTube. Join the damn YouTube. This is made possible with Angelspit's Patreon. Thank you so much. You can join for free or for as little as $3 a month. I really appreciate that you keep me going. The new album, which I have now finished sending out all pre-orders. Brett, yours is in the mail literally today. How to Bottle a Star. So everybody who's got a pre-order or a Kickstarter, that's going out. You'll have it hopefully in a week. On Wednesday night, we're all meeting up again in Vulture Culture's channel. We're having a drinky poo or a non-alcoholic drinky poo or whatever, and we're going to talk about synths. I'm wearing the t-shirt. There's a t-shirt. There it is. Go get it. I highly recommend you jump on these because they are so much fun. After this, we are going to scoot on over to MTV TV for our non-stop dose of bloody music from the bloody bleeding edge, and it's great. And if you've got a video, email them. They will play it. If you're worried about the United States and you want to do something about it, join Indivisibles. And if there's too much addiction, bloody media going on in your life, because now it's officially an addictive thing, but it has been for years, 12-step recovery thingy from Media Addicts Anonymous, and that's from Alcoholics Anonymous, so it's legit. This is serious. Raziel, thank you for being the bloody.
The bloody is the key there. And yeah, man, thanks for having us here for this bloody.
Oh my God, bloody. Damn right. Okay, so we're gonna haul on into it. Ivan, so you're working on a super exciting, super sexy band project management tool.
Yeah.
Hit me up, baby. Tell me the details.
Okay. Um, it's a tool that keeps track of all of the like project managey details around building a song or building an album, running a band, kind of doing all that stuff because like you could go get a Jira subscription and and discover that Jira does not fit right. It doesn't work very well because it's designed for a different problem. So this is a problem that this is a tool that's designed specifically for the problem, and has fields specifically for the problem. So like you need all the like codes and stuff for a song so that you've got like an easy way to handle like a whole lot like getting like the government stuff side of things done. Like and the nice part is the vast majority of these activities we can handle with an API. So, instead of like having to go figure out what to do, it just puts a lot of these activities just on Rails. So, it's just taking care of it for you and you're answering questions instead of thinking of what the question is first, which, is definitely a problem if you're a little bit ADHD, like, well, uh, all of us,
Dot. What?
any of us. So it puts that on Rails, or it will put that on Rails, and make things like storing your stems and who's doing what. Make the having that happen in like a easy, measurable, secure place where you can share it with other people, but you share it specifically with other people instead of just kind of generically sharing it and anybody that happens to have the link can get their hands on it. No, this would require you to actually like do a quick login and then get to it. So like your your intellectual property is protected, which is, kind of a bonus. Actually kind of a lot of a bonus. Because like I don't think it's happened yet, but having some like, you know, intellectual property inadvertently make it out into the wild sounds like a that sounds like a nightmare waiting to happen. Not a nightmare that has happened yet, but
Can I ask you? Firstly,
Mm.
thank you for this. I know, okay, this shit's boring. I'm sorry.
Well,
Like you said, but you said the government of it and the administration, and it's really important because my theory is so many people have got songs and shit they're working on that they just forget because it falls through the cracks because they have no way of administrating the creative process. I want to throw this to the resonator in a sec, but the first question I want to ask you is what format is this? And don't use acronyms. You got to
uh,
remember that
don't worry.
we work in a no AUP. This is a no AUP zone.
This
No, this is an NAUP zone.
Yeah, this is going to start out as just a website, so you'll just log in with your computer, not a problem. And then, as things ramp up, that will get converted over to a lot of the tooling will end up on, just a mobile application. Um, but like the meat and potatoes is still going to end up on the website side because there's more versatility there and more direct access, blah blah blah. It will be just easier. And then right now I'm starting with like a minimum viable product demo of what it's going to be, so that hopefully I can get this in front of some investors and get some people involved in helping support it with cash sort of way.
I love it. Thank you so much. Let me know when you need beta testers because wow, I could think of several hundred. Morning, Rob, and morning, Alistair. Can I throw this to the resonator?
I like to start this side of the dialogue when people bring up their new products with, what's the unique value proposition? Why are you making this? And why are you the one to make it? And how do people voice their own opinions and attitudes about what a management app should do? And will you fight them with weapons or accept their suggestions? Where are you going on that creative
I
work
think
side of it?
suggestions are a great thing, and listening to your end users is how you succeed. Failing to listen to your end users is how you fail. Um, and what I'm envisioning, especially during the like, I don't know, the playtesting version, a portion of this event is, that largely, the feedback is either going to happen through the tool itself, or which would be nice, or there will eventually be a GitHub for this, and that will have all of the like GitHub communications tools just rolled into it. So it will have those things going for it. And I think the big value proposition is, when you're especially this especially becomes useful if you're more than just one person. Like one person, it's kind of handy. For multiple people, suddenly it becomes a lot handy because keeping track of like demos, parts, approvals, all of that will be managed by the tool. So it will know when somebody is supposed to have submitted something if they have not. So like if your bass player is busy huffing gasoline instead of actually like writing, finishing, and recording his part, you'll know because the part won't be in there. And more importantly, the song won't move forward because you need that part to approve, moving on to the next phase. So like we're going to introduce a little bit of the software development life cycle to song development. So it's the new song development life cycle.
Okay. Amazing. Razi, your hand is still up.
Yeah, I'm still interested in like it sounds like you're scoping it to creative process for in the band management, not the traditional artist management in the industry sense.
Kind of, yeah, because like the industry itself doesn't really have this tool yet.
I
Yeah. And
well, yeah, yeah, no, I think you're right there, but it is like it's a project manager for bands, not a band manager for labels, in other words.
yeah, and I'm trying to kind of position it as something that a label would look at and think, you know, this would make our lives easier.
And I guess by labels I meant management group, but you know the lines
Yeah.
are blurry. So like my trouble in life with managing a band is like knowing where the fuck I put files and remembering that I was working on a video and um uh thinking about the dates that things are supposed to happen,
Yeah,
getting
and this would
prices
keep
on
track
t-shirts.
this would keep track of where your data is, partially by wanting desperately to be the place where your data is. Because disk is cheap. Um, Two, it would keep track of like what needs to, what moving parts need to be moving forward. Have they moved forward? Have they been approved to have moved forward? Which, keeps like that bunch of cats, in a corral. Um, what else does it do? Oh, and then like I envision at some point in the not at some point in the future it would also be a place where like manufacturers, it's like t-shirt companies and artists and stuff would also be able to register with the site and turn that into a like a marketplace for all of that like merchandising action to take place. And I don't even think that the tool doesn't need to profit off of that, like wherever possible. If the tool doesn't need to profit off of it, then it'd be easy to go with, then we won't. And we really don't need a cut of what's going on when two other people are having a mutually, agreeable situation.
Mm. Okay, this is all very interesting. Did anybody else want to jump in?
Um yeah, I mean, like I could talk about this for hours, so you just stop it when it's off the rails far enough. But the the history of this goes back like Web 1.0 that I'm thinking. Anything that said EPK back in the day pretty much had these kind of skills, and for the life of me, I can't remember a single fucking one of those. Like Band Zoogle or okay, there's one. My vibe with thinking about the history of it is like, where are we now that's different than why those things proved to be kind of predatory in the end and really just like another music industry cash in that I could be annoyed about.
I think a big chunk of it is they were predatory. And like I'm coming at this as like a musician that happens to know tech, and thinking about it as a musician that happens to know tech, I think brings it a lot closer to being something that's useful, without needing, like, I just don't we live in a world where like like spinning up VMs and junk is cheap enough
Mhm.
that there is no need to be predatory, because you can make a tiny amount of money per subscriber and still come out and still come out ahead just because of volume. And like, and the volume doesn't even need to be huge.
As this will be, should I talk to you any further about this, the third in 25 years, pretty serious, artist-led, non-predatory, meaning well, large, ambitious project. I am assuming, for you, since you said integrations and support. Those have died because artists are artists. And the artists that it's for doing the work, I'm going to say fourth, actually. So but once it got off the ground, it actually started to have something cool to do, and like we felt like, hey man, this does solve our creative blocks. And then like, where did everybody go? I, I don't know if there's a question there. Maybe that's just a negative comment and I'm being an asshole. But like, how do
No,
you
that
get
is
around that? And
I think
like,
that
what?
is a completely
Yeah,
valid comment to make, because I think a big part of the problem that those other tools had was they brought in equity management companies to run the show, and the equity management companies put in CEOs that didn't know what the fuck was going on. They just thought that it should make money. And so the only thing they really cared about was whether or not it was making bajillions of dollars. More importantly, being predatory. And my theory is this is never going to be a big thing. This is not a 1 billion-dollar industry. This is a little bit larger than a garage, but not by much. And it never needs to be, it never needs to chase after being that. And so there's no reason to bring in a big high-powered CEO from Silicon Valley who's only interested in how much money can it make. When I think more importantly, the more important question to ask is how useful can it be? Being useful is far more important, than just making money. And also, like, to be useful, you don't need to just kind of willy-nilly chase features. Because I've seen plenty of organizations whose software is so busy chasing features that it ends up ignoring its own problems, because features are more important than fixing problems. And I kind of disagree with that. I think that fixing problems, being releasable, being manageable, like being something that the DevOps guys can look at it and smile is more valuable than just chasing features.
I want to let Carl talk, but I'm so engaged that I keep jumping in.
Yeah, I can see
The,
it.
the the thing that you win with in software development, obviously, as I think we all know, is if you love what you're doing and you need it and you build the tool. And that's
And this is definitely part of that. I mean, like, I've been keeping track of what's going on as I've been releasing songs, and so I'm starting to see all of
patterns
the like
and
various
yeah.
patterns and pain points in trying to manage this stuff, and like starting to get a clear vision of what it means. And like one of the things that it will do a whole bunch of stuff. One of the things it's not going to do is be the tool that releases to the public. It will be the tool that manages everything up until that point. And then you connect it to the API for, whatever your favorite tool for that is. And it will just talk to the API and release your songs. And more importantly, it will handle doing that on a schedule.
API,
three
API,
letter
API,
three letter
API, three-letter
acronym.
acronym.
I mean,
Bah.
I thought everybody knows what API means.
I don't know what the fucking API is.
Application programming interface. It's how one piece of code.
All right, keep going.
Yeah, and so
Okay,
like,
you breathed. I'm going to jump in. Um, this is great. All I have is encouragement. I have encouragement. That's it. And I think all of us are at a stage where we've been through collectives and bands and labels and ground roots up, where you've gone, oh, I've got this really crazy idea and I'm doing it because I love my community, I love my band, I love my brothers and my sisters and my others, and I just want everybody to thrive. But the problem you've got is that, with collectives, it always ends up being, one or two people or one person really who's pulling everyone else's weight along. And I think that's why there's money. As much as I want to say, man, it would be great if this could be free, but the problem you've got is if it is free, you are going to get sick of doing this real quick.
when it doesn't
And
need to pay for itself.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. And it also needs to justify and give you
A reason to get up in the morning and handle it.
incentive. No, incentive to keep it going.
Mm.
And I'm looking for harder words, obligation.
Yeah,
Um,
there we go.
and it's really interesting that I've learned that my incredibly strange gift is not music or talent, it's tenacity. And I don't let shit fall through the cracks. That's my very strange gift. And that's why I can do what I do. It's got nothing to do with talent. It has to do with tenacity. And it's for me, I form habits quickly. And once I have a habit, that's it. The habit stays and I will keep doing that thing. Um, and then what you need to figure out doing, asking yourself is what habit could you be forming that is going to keep you doing this?
Well,
And
and I've got a good explanation on that. Back in '95, so the very early days, I was running the host where like there was a website that was a resource for people with OCD. Heaven help you, after about 6 months, if you were the guy running the infrastructure that went down that hosted that site, because you would hear no end of it. And this was the early days when that kind of thing happened all the time. But ooh, I learned a whole lot of things about always being able to trust that your data is good and always having your data available and everything just working. And I'm an operations guy, not specifically a web developer. So I'm approaching this as an operations guy who cares a lot about speed and availability and data safety. Just a bunch of ands, but
that's fantastic. Also, one thing I lack is the ability to put up with humans. And I, yeah, you might have that skill. People who program usually don't. That I think what I'm trying to say is that just keep doing what this is such a great idea, and I want you to keep going, and I give you my hope and my blessing. That I know you can do it. Like I said, we've all been keeping bands together or keeping projects together or keeping collectives or labels or whatever together for so fucking long
well, I mean, here's
that
what we can do for now is every couple of weeks, like it will be in a more demoable state. As this moves forward and becomes more demoable to the main demo, what we should do is turn on screen sharing once in a while, and I will share up the demo so that people can see what the hell I'm doing.
that's great. And
Because
by the way,
that's an easy way for me to instantly get feedback from people,
I love
and
it.
I like feedback.
Okay, we're going to do that. And by the way, if you're in the comments right now and you think this is a great idea, say, I think this is a great idea. And then, if you pull in Alex from Vulture Culture, then there's another
Bingo.
zillion freaking people. I mean, even if he just mentioned it, but I don't want to speak on anyone's behalf. This is great. Does anybody want to tap this really quickly? Thanks, Brett. Uh,
I
does
would
it,
end it up with just saying one of the biggest challenges right now is a lot of people that are capable of using this thing, if you're not careful, are the same people that are going to be building their own right now
They
because
they will. And here's the other big thing that I've gone into this project knowing full well is there are no inventions here. There's nothing being invented. This is about as simple as fuck as it gets. And really the big invention is making it work and be available. And a lot of people that might try to copy it, the first hurdle they're going to have to get over is, walking into this event knowing how all the moving pieces are going to work and putting them all together and making them actually all move in the same direction and keeping them going in that direction, which is where things actually become difficult. But yeah, again, not inventing a single thing, you know, and so there's nothing to patent. But
fantastic.
but the pain in the ass is patent is a kind of patent in and of itself.
Okay, I love it. There's a lot of horses being put before the cart. Or
Okay,
maybe not. Maybe now is a good time to be thinking about this shit. Gee, I don't know. Does anybody else want to throw in on this? Because this could very easily turn into a therapy session. I'm holding back myself personally. It's turning into a therapy session. Uh, okay. Thank you, Ivan. I want to dedicate part of this in the future to screenshots of where this is going. I think this could be really good. Does anybody else want to throw in anything to end this? And Rezi, while your mic's on, you could also turn it or talk about order versus chaos.
Yeah. Let me try to cap off the way that I feel about benefits of a management utility, personal management, band management, organizational. In the past 6 months, things that tell me what to do and feel correct are super helpful because there's some sort of an agency behind them. I like those things. Things that make me move blocks around the screen and type stuff in and configure things after I've already done it once. Wow. Make me even more sad in the past 6 months than they used to. So, and when I say people who are inclined to use this might also be inclined to create their own, that's sort of the death of software as a service, in general. Like, everybody's going to just tell their chatbot to build them a band manager, and it'll be their band manager, not somebody else's band manager. And by everybody, I mean the same percentage of people that might be inclined to use one. And I don't think that's a challenge. I think building one is still the love. So it's super interesting and exciting for that, because you get your band manager, and the people who love your band manager are going to be fucking psyched. So if Alex was going to jump in on this topic, I would like to defer my order versus chaos thing and let him talk. Is that where you were going, Alex?
Yeah, sure. I think if you just everyone can code something, especially if it's like something well established, like the snake game or something. That's easy, but taking the care of what a person, that situation actually needs, that's a whole new level. And I think if the price to entry isn't too high, many people will see it as a blessing. And I think I haven't been here from the start, so don't know the whole context, but I think if you have like an app or something and it's not as expensive as maybe Creative Cloud or something, which like is quite a share of most creators' budget. But if it's like manageable, I think it could be a hit. And I think people might want to recreate it, but the largest share of people just want something that works immediately, and they don't want to bother with it anymore and start with, because I think it's like it could solve a problem, if I understood it correctly, for many people, and I encourage you to keep going with it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Rezi. Ball is yours.
Yeah. This is kind of a little bit vague and not fully formed, but there's this little topic that we keep hinting at or landing on as part of other discussions. But when you have chaos in your production pipeline or in your live performance, or something that's generative or algorithmic or doesn't necessarily happen the same way twice, we could capture that or embrace it or let it be random every time, and at some point it becomes fixed. And I'm just thinking about, like, if anybody has experiences or habits around capturing the moments that chaos produces, or what the tension is between perfect reproduction, reproducibility, imposing your direction on an event versus letting it be free running. And in the greater picture, like during live performances, that's possibly, an interesting high wire effect. And in recording studio performances, it's something to like really consciously capture. Where's the tension in that, and how do you resolve it, and what do you think about, and what do you do to bottle it and create it?
That's a great question, Alex. Blow my mind.
I hope I understood your question correctly. For me, chaos is either a well or something that I use as a spice. A well in the sense that I do something very chaotic, then record it, and just pick the snippets that I like, and then reproduce them orderly, so to say. And the other way is with the electron sequencers, you can randomize stuff, but you can give it rules. So, for example, what I like to do is either have the hits on the beat, or with a certain percentage, it's a bit behind. And I feel like it creates a really natural sounding drum beat, even though it's mostly on the grid and only this one snare hit is a bit behind, maybe a third of all times or something. So that's the two ways I like to use chaos and maybe order them retrospectively.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Ivan, what do you think?
I think we always have to remember that Friedrich Nietzsche said, you can't give birth to a dancing star without a little bit of chaos in you. And I think he was right. Like when I'm writing melodies, I really prefer to go use the live keyboard and just record the MIDI and or just record it. And then like Alex will, cut out the parts I like for future use, and the rest will just get stored forever someplace so that I can go back to it, or more importantly, go back to the well and get more water if I need later. Because I really don't, especially, when a chaotic element is being introduced, I prefer to, get that recorded so that it it becomes I can make it reproducible in a, vague reproducible sense. Um, and that has worked out surprisingly well for me. Um, and I think also, that little bit of chaos is kind of one of the differences between like arting the heck out of this, like making music process or not. Like it's actually like important and valuable, as you work on your the song. And I think listeners can identify when that's been happening. And I think that that's probably one of the places where AI kind of sucks the most. Like it's not good at the kind of chaos that humans introduce to the problem, because we introduce like weird semi-intentional chaos, whereas like when the AI does it, it kind of tries to fake it, and you just end up with like a bunch of spare notes in weird places, and it's like, oh, that sounds like ass. Um, I'm working on that project to convert an AI written song into a real song, and that is surprisingly difficult.
I want to put a pin in that. I want to come back to that. I appreciate that. Thank you. And again, Rezi, this is a great question. Oh, chaos. We love it. Brett, my Prince of Chaos, bless me with your face.
So chaos has been an ever present uh, instrument in all of my bands. So early on, the way because I didn't have all the fancy gear and such. Now I had to do it really hacker style. And chaos was literally a microphone with an on and off switch, chained to a quadriverb running about a 10-second delay, where we could not hear the input initially. So for 10 seconds, you can't hear what you're recording. And then we would do this in a room smaller than this, and we would turn on multiple TVs, radios, record players, and what it was is like you can set the conditions so much for certain things like cassette players and record players. Otherwise, you really, we're talking about TVs with rotary dials. We didn't know what we were going to get. It was true broadcast. Same thing for the radios. And we would spend hours creating what we called chaos tracks. These chaos tracks were by its nature always overriding itself. So not only could we not predict what the beginning was, we couldn't predict what the ending or the middle or anything else. We could add some elements, You know, like I said, cassette players, record players, things like that. There was some elements of control, but we would take these entire things and we would use them to humanize very, very structured, like step sequenced, structured songs. And the neat things about it was, and some of the things that I took away from those early experiments is something that I've mentioned before: dissonance. Meaning, if you write a really pretty song and you have all these uplifting chords and everything like that, you can gain a lot by adding something somewhere in that mix that isn't pretty, that is really ugly, and then sit them right side by side so that the ear has something to compare to. And you can use them like exclamation points. Now it is still a function of that. So when I go sampling, my favorite places to go sampling are environments in which I have no control of what I'm going to record. Of course, my audio surgeon, my WAV file surgeon skills are way further along today than they were back then. And so I don't know how much of that is truly chaos anymore. Other than, you know, I am grabbing elements that weren't necessarily planned for the pieces I'm using them in. I also find that as song structure goes, one of the things I like to do is hand you the core of the song right up front, and then let the song have a conversation, which often, you know, becomes quite chaotic by the time you get to the end of it. I kind of liken it to a tsunami, where you know it's coming. Here's the first wave. Okay, that was bad, but that's not the one you got to worry about. It's the third wave, you know. And then it sweeps across the island and everything is dead. And that's a good place to end. So that's my thoughts on it and how I kind of use it. I know that's a little bit abstract, but yeah.
Thank you, Abstract Good. I'm actually going to relinquish my hands to Ivan. Hit me. What are your thoughts? Thank you for that, Brett. That was great.
Yeah, big question in this conversation is who, you know, where's Genesis and John Balance when we need them? Because, you know, I think them and Korg definitely knew something about chaos. I would also suggest that you know, like especially in the early like stuff, you know, again, Genesis and John Balance, curating noise like is actually like a fairly big part of the equation, because noise is just noise if it's just noise, but if it's curated, then it becomes intentional noise, and that actually makes a difference in the total, you know, in the end output of what you're making. And so like managing chaos is actually a really important part of what we do, because, you know, like our job is to add some taste and you know, make it good. And those were my thoughts.
And they were fine thoughts. Thank you. Razi, what are your thoughts?
I guess to make a couple of specific examples, I find, you know, I pose this as tension between chaos and structure, or being able to like freeze chaotic things perfectly with electronics. And I think humans kind of being like chaos filters themselves, turning things into a structured pattern and finding patterns and recognizing patterns. It's like, it's kind of what we do. So I've found a spot where there's something missing, and I don't know what goes in that spot, but I know that if I turn some knobs and make things do stuff that I didn't predict, it'll give me ideas, and then I can stop on one of those ideas and preserve it in amber and have it forever. And I like that as an idea generator. And I think that's kind of in a way what Brett was talking about, um, where there's silence and then there's chaos, and then you decide which parts of it you thought were worth keeping. But that doesn't always end there. Like once you've got sort of an idea generated, it might be like a small idea and you want a big idea, and you can like sort of learn from it. And like I'm trying to think of which synthesizers I've done that with. And sometimes just turning on an arpeggiator does this. Like, it's playing the notes, blah blah blah, and you get some ideas from where the notes fall and whether it's in phase. That's a form of a little bit chaotic, like where it lands on the beat, what the scales are. But I think landing on this as for me, I don't know what I want, but I know I want something. Here, computer, help me think of it. Or here, synthesizer with a random, bit of dirt on one of the knobs, land right on that dirt and do something unexpected there. Here, amplifier with a failing preamp tube, give me some dirt and grit that I didn't know I wanted for this song, and then take off from there as the person with ideas and choices to make after that.
Thank you very much. Brett, is it all right if I go on a rant? Thank you. Okay. Fear cuts down your willingness to take a risk. Fear and uncertainty. So let's just say you're a farmer and it's time to put the crops in the ground, but there's a massive drought. So because of the fear and uncertainty, you don't put the crops in the ground. Hi, Frank. This really, I learned this when I was a kid. I won't bore you with why. But as there is increased fear in your head, in your environment, in your world, in your social media feed, I believe that it cuts down your willingness to take a risk. It cuts down mine. And turning that fear, congestion, assumption, that negativity off is really hard inside your brain. Lack of confidence also shuts down your willingness to take a risk and to throw it out there. Lack of the concern of what will people think about this? Will I lose an audience? Will people respect me less? Will they not like me? Will they say things that are shitty? Will I get canceled? Will fucking all this? Fear, mate. That's the thing that's killing the chaos. Because I think I'm all about, hey man, chaos is so important. And there's not too much chaos in my composition. I purposely put it in there. I have to pursue it. But my problem is that my brain has become broken, for want of a better term, suffocated, blinded, filtered, so that I may not see it or develop it anymore because of fear, the mind killer. So I'm aware of this, and I am, it's very interesting that in order for me to push away from this mob, the assumption of the mob, I've had to go on a path where I don't really talk to people anymore about creative shit. I talk to you guys, but I don't really talk to anyone else because I get, ooh, and that's really difficult when you're trying to do something new and you're trying to push the boundary and somebody comes back to you saying, oh, just do what you did 20 years ago. Crunk House incidentally turns 20 this year. And that was 12 albums ago. And that, although I know they mean well, but my point is that inside my brain, it's like saying to somebody, you look so much better 20 years ago. You're a better looking guy. Well, I was 20 years younger. You had better hair. Well, it's fallen out. over that time. Shit's moved on. And now, because of chaos, I'm trying to, do. So it's so important to fucking go. And this is something that I find difficult. It's really hard to have a genuine creative conversation with somebody, because to really talk about capturing chaos and being open to chaos, because I'm finding it hard to, maybe I've always found it hard. I don't know. By Forge Ahead. That didn't help at all. That turned into me talking about myself. Sorry. Hey, talk to me. Brett, what are you thinking?
So, and kind of the fear and all that kind of stuff, I'll tell you, there was a while back, I kind of got bored with my own techniques, right? Which happens. And of course, that causes all kinds of new anxieties and things like that. So I did a song called Oblivion. And it was an instrumental. And it really started as a noise sort of chaos sort of concept. Well, I won't say it started that way, but it definitely ended that way. What I found interesting about it was, how when you get to like the end of songs, a lot of times there's like a lot of times this technique is used where you have like this noise wall that kind of fades off into oblivion. Maybe it's feedback, maybe it's like synthesizers doing something cool. Nails uses this almost all the time. Well, the idea behind the track that I did was just flip my entire script on its head. Start with the end, and then rip away everything until you get to the core. And the reason I called it Oblivion is every time, the character Demon Hate called for oblivion, something in the song had to die. And so this thing starts off as this really, really noisy, what the hell am I listening to kind of thing, and then ends up kind of devolving into something cool, which again is another chaotic sort of thing to happen. I mean, so in that it is nothing but experimentation. And so that in some ways that kind of eased, the fear of it, because, okay, well, I started with it fucked up. It can only get better, or it's never going to be released anyway. And I guess if I were to do that intentionally on a track, what I'd probably try to do is I'd probably try to fire up all the synthesizers doing something at once. Everything go like it's at the end of a song with all the noise, with all the fanfare and everything, and then literally start cleaning it up as you listen to it. Maybe that helps.
Thank you. Raziel, what are you thinking?
I like the idea of this pushing beyond like whatever your inclinations are, making the boundaries, like kind of erasing them, and like not in a virtuoso, not that you're a virtuoso, but that you're somebody who's interested in new things, novelty, and introducing, curating. I think that's the word I'm looking for. You become like a selector, not just a composer in these moments of finding bits of chaos that really give you something, a jolt, notice, prick up your ears. I like that. One of the things that's most attractive when people talk about their modular rigs, besides that they're fucking huge and they have blinking lights all over them and they're like, all engrossing, is that you can run a self-generating patch for the rest of the day and come up with something, 23 hours in and be like, yeah, there's a moment, it did something. And I don't avail myself of that, even though there's a lot of ways of doing it without, like literal hardware. But letting something you built just kind of go, and maybe it's not even random, but it's doing things that you didn't set out for it to do, and you get to be the beneficiary of curational moments where you find something that fits in the thing that I'm working on. That is the solution to the gap in my idea, or it's spawning a new idea in a new direction. You get inspiration from it. So some sort of chaotic inspiration generator machines, that we can build or lean on a little bit, aside from them just introducing new textures, but to creating sparks for us to make a fire.
I approve of this message. Thank you so much. Alex, what do you think?
Well, with modular synthesizers and some analog synthesizers and even some select digital synthesizers, you don't choose chaos. Chaos chooses you. It chooses you because sometimes the thing just does a thing and you don't know why. And you check your patch and everything's like you think it should, but it doesn't sound the way you anticipated it. Because somewhere in there, the circuits are speaking behind your back and something interesting happens and you have to deal with it. So I just wanted to add this.
Okay, thank you. So a fun thing to do is, on the subject of weird bits, is get a weird bit thing like a ring modulator, put 2 melodies into it, and then sing it. Don't try and play it, sing it. Because your voice can only do, it's going to be multiplying 2 waveforms together, and it's going to come up with the 2 harmonics, 2 frequencies together. It's going to come up with a new frequency. So if you play 2 melodies into this thing, you're going to come up with something new. Maybe there's a melody or a bass line in there. Put a bass line or something and something else into a ring modulator and sing over the top of it. If you want the greatest piece of chaos, your voice plus a recorder. Just put your bloody computer into record and sing. Because, often your fingers know what they're doing. Often when you're patching, you know what you're doing. But when you're singing on the spot, you're problem solving on the spot, and knowing that you are recording it on the spot, your brain might come up with something real fucking cool. And also the great thing is if you're doing something and you're looping it, you're going over and over and over it again, and you start finding patterns that work as you sing, and you start developing them. And something I am trying to do more of now is when I do a vocal take, I turn the mic on and go. I never write it on a little keyboard to start with. You turn the mic on and you go, because my voice is going to do things that my fingers won't do, because my fingers know where the keys are, but my voice doesn't. My voice is going to go, oh, I'm going to go to that note because it kind of sounds cool or it feels cool. Whereas my fingers going, oh, I'm not going to that note because I know what that means. So if there's an instrument in your arsenal, which is probably your voice, that isn't as well trained as everything else, and the brain's got a weird relationship with it, as in a not totally technical relationship, and it's more instinctual, there's your chaos engine. And it was in your face the whole time. Raziel, what do you think about this?
You mentioning well, it made me think of 2 acts of sabotage, the ring mod into the voice thing. Aside from sticking a straight pin into the multi-core monitor snake or stage box snake, and then cutting off the end so that nobody knows why all the channels are cross-talking. Feed the monitor mix for the vocalist with a quarter tone pitch shift, and don't don't ever tell them that you did it, and just see how long it takes them to notice. Maybe do just a few cents and then increase it as they're singing, and turn it a little bit more and more, and see if it fucks up their day or if they never notice. Or if you're nice and you don't want to do that, I would love to explore, like, literally your idea. I'm not sure if this is exactly what you meant, but you've got a tone or a melody. You've got your mic input. Take the tone, take the mic, put that into the ring mod and see what comes out, and just listen to that. And so you're not hearing your own voice anymore. You're just hearing the output of that thing. And then mentally you're trying to control what pitch you're hearing, but it doesn't map to what you're singing at all. And if that's not quite what you meant, that's kind of where my mind went went with it, and I would love to actually try that.
Not what I meant, but I love it. Do it.
Yeah. Anyway, go. Cool. I love the ideas.
Also, because I was thinking two synthesizer lines, why not be two vocal lines? Because the objective is to create something that you have to fix that isn't technically broken, but you need to make sense of it. Like that's chaos. That's the chaos and order bound thing that we're going for. So, hey man, the more the merrier.
And I want to answer Dee's comment, and that that is not necessarily the moment the song comes alive, but it certainly is when one of the necessary moments in knowing that a song should exist. Like it's the hint that we're going somewhere. It's the motivation. It's the all this stuff is boring. Oh, I noticed something. And your attention snaps into focus and you think, I have a direction.
Yeah. Absolutely, Brad. I see your hand. And it's so important to be able to be aware and catch that moment.
Yeah, you might argue that's a big part of your job.
Yeah. Yeah. Brett, what do you think?
Another thing that occurred to me that I've done in the past, which was really rewarding, and may serve for ideas. Start with the drum beat, strip out all the sound, keep the MIDI. Chain the MIDI to a gate and use that gate to control the audio of another track. By the way, hi Kevin Marshall. Yes, I stole this from you. Now, when they did it with like car radios, right? Well, when I did it, what I did was actually I had a completely different song loaded up in there that you couldn't hear. And the only way you could hear it is if one of the gates was tripped. Then I chained one gate to a drum track that you couldn't hear so that there was a reason that it would pulse on and off. The other one I chained to my voice, which added another layer of modulation to it as well, and it acted very much like a vocoder. The neat thing about that was you could have the drums pulling bits of a track into existence, and then you could literally speak the track into existence, the melody and the bass and all that stuff. And when I chained that as part of the vocal track, where you really couldn't hear the melody unless I was singing, and then there was because I'm not a great singer. I'm I can hold a note with a vocoder, great. But because of that though, it adds a modulation to it, and you can't predict that. And you can record it and then from there have it over and over and over again. But you're not going to do it the same way twice, even if you're really good.
Love it. Love it. Thank you. Does anybody else want to jump in about the joys of order and chaos and production and all that jazz? Razzie, hit me, baby.
I think there's one other angle too, and this might not matter as much, but I watched a thing on Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice developing Jesus Christ Superstar again because nostalgia and it's as old as I am and whatever reasons. I didn't realize the band was Joe Cocker's band, or the rhythm section and a couple of guitarists, which I guess is the band for that album. Interesting. Never knew it. But there is a lot of sloppy ass perfect moments in that we haven't talked about in maybe a couple of years. Mentioned that those are the things you remember, and it's that kind of live band in a room with only one day to do the tracks kind of chaos that I don't think we've talked about. It's outside of the context of electronic music, where there is a tension between having to finish a take because studio time's expensive, and your recording tape is finite, and what people thought was the death of music sometime 10 years after that kind of stuff was happening, where digital storage was not expensive and infinite, and you could edit and create perfect takes with relative ease compared to that time period. Did we lose anything? Is there a tension between the iconic inspired moment captured versus the masterpiece structural perfection of I think last time we mentioned maybe Perfect Way by Scritti Politti, having a lack of errors but still beautiful perfection in as opposed to beautiful chaos. I don't know if I feel a tension in that at all, but it is a distinction that was worth noting. Very different approaches.
Okay, thank you. I think a new can of worms has been opened. That was fantastic. Brett, what do you think?
I think you can hear performance. And I'll give you a simpler example. You know, when they train you to talk on the phone, they tell you to smile because people can hear it, and they're not wrong. The energy you carry into that performance, live, recorded, whatever, is going to be heard. And well, yeah. I think the answer is unequivocally yes.
Brilliant. Thank you. Ivan, Brain.
Yeah, I think one of the results of being able to just, record a million takes and then piece together a perfect performance from those is that like the vocals have become kind of too clinically good, and unfortunately like that just rips the soul out of them upon occasion. Um and like and yet again, like really what that does is it yanks any of the chaos out of it, and more importantly, it kills the dancing star. And you know like weirdly the stuff that people end up like that ends up standing the test of time is not the stuff that was made that way. It's the stuff that you are capturing the that one performance. And like maybe it's okay to do a million takes, but then of those takes find the good one, and instead of composing a good one out of them, just use the good one, and like it's just it just ends up being better that way. I think. I mean, I got to experiment on this, but it sounds kind of true. Also, Brett, you brought up Ken Marshall's slash Skinny Puppies, the Gate Radio. And I gotta say that the concept of the Gate Radio uh caused me to go out and pick up a Tascam 2020 like gate device. And one of the joys of it is it is super fast. And so I can really just nail that like clipping of clips in and out as as things move along. And it's I haven't gotten to use it as much as I'd like because it's a 19-inch and none of my 19-inch equipment is actually plugged in at the moment. That's waiting for third floor studio to get finished so that I've got a place to put the 19-inch rack stuff and make full use of it. But once it is there, that will just be like right off the desk and easy to grab and always easy to use. So I'm highly looking forward to seeing what getting up there is going to actually do to my kinds of things I'm producing. Ugh, I described it as producing. Ugh.
Well, actually, that word's perfect because it segues into what I want to say. Thank you.
Oh,
Um. Okay, so it's really interesting you mentioned Joe Cocker's band because Joe Cocker's band were good. In fact, they were really good. And that's this is a really interesting and then DIC you're talking about punk energy. This is one of my favorite like conundrums is that the better you get, the worse you get, or the more boring you get. And the less you take risks because you don't need to, because I did that shit 20 years ago and I learned blah 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 blah. But then it's like if you're doing a vocal and you get somebody on a microphone and they're very, shall we say, new, they might not give you as much amazing usable material as somebody who is good. And I'm being really, really careful how I say this. That and the reason I'm being careful with how I say this is that there's this really weird balance because between, if you have no idea what you're doing, you're going to come up with some cool ideas that somebody who does know what they're doing is not going to come up with because but inversely, you might not be able to execute them. And that's an issue that I have with working with vocalists is that they come up with some really cool shit, but the ability to put it on a record in such a way that is going to be usable, is difficult. Because, I mean, and the first thing you're going to say, oh, but what about blah, blah, blah when they did that album in the early 80s? Well, the thing about blah, blah, blah when they did that early album in the early 80s is that they were with the band in a rehearsal studio for a long period of time, getting used to the science, physics, and biology of their throat and a microphone and a band and communication. People aren't like that anymore because they're in their bedroom and they're not too loud because they don't want to get a noise complaint from their neighbors or their mum. And that's where so much stuff's changed, I think. That the whole, you love listening to David Lynch talk about, oh, you've got to take the boat out into the depths and you've got to look for those big fish, and that's all risk. Yes, it is, but that's also money. I mean, we're not literally talking about a boat. I mean, like one of my favorite quotes is Brian Eno, yes, we should do a reading today, who said the great thing about paying for a really expensive studio is that you are going to be yielding ideas, etc., from that expensive studio that in normal situations, because of the people you're working with, etc., you wouldn't be finding chaos. And yeah, that is so true, but not many of us can afford expensive studios anymore. The world has changed and it has dragged us down with it. That's another conversation. I wrote a song about that on the last album called Class System. Anyway, so when somebody says to you, you play like crap, that can also be a compliment. And this is the thing is that I think it's really important to be doing your scales. Carl, for fuck's sake, will you do your fucking scales? It's really important to be doing all this stuff so that when it comes time to do that shit, you're healthy enough to run a mile. You know what I mean? Because you've been doing your exercises, and when you're standing in front of the mic, you can do the musical equivalent of running a mile. Um, and then that it gets all tied into the concept of the producers need to correct and fix. And I think it's funny because as digital technology has improved, and the internet and fear and all the shit we've been talking about today, you are pushed more and more into this need to correct. Because as soon as you start pulling on this fucking string, oh, this one over here, oh fuck, now this, or that, and before you know it, you've got a very perfect, very boring image. That all of the roughness, all of the cool texture and shit has been pulled the fuck out of it. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on this is that it's fuck around and find out. You're constantly getting the balance right. And that's really joyous because like as you keep going down this fucking path of music, which is a reflection of you in a world, and you're always changing and the world's always changing and music's changing, your understanding of the world and music and technology and fucking everything's always changing. Therefore, everything is by definition new. Every step you take is working into a new, beautiful universe. And that was so nice. And it was very Bob Ross, and go Bob Ross. Says D, if you're really challenging yourself and creating your most authentic work, you're going to get a healthy amount of haters and some people who don't like it. But it will be more real and more memorable. Yeah, I totally agree. But I think haters today, because what you've said, no offense, is based on, I think when I read that and I interpret that or misinterpret that, I get the feeling that I go to that 80s place of in music, oh, you want to upset people. But I think that mentality in myself, and I'm not taking away from what you're saying, I'm saying it's perhaps my misinterpretation of it. I think my head's disappearing up my ass right now. Is that I've learned that haters are not a good thing. Because they can really fuck you up. And that's fear. Remember I was talking about fear before? Um, yeah, I don't know. Um, I don't know. Maybe if it's not that I'm losing my edge, maybe I'm losing my edge, or maybe after playing with a flame for so long, I've gone, not only is it hot, but that fucking thing can spread and destroy everything. So I'm gonna put the flame in a glass jar or something here, and I'm gonna wave from it from the outside. And once again, that is me talking about questioning the fear that I have in taking risks, etc. Although when I'm reading my lyrics right now, oh, they're pretty nasty. In fact, they're very fucking nasty, which I'm quite proud of. And the new music that I'm pushing, and I'm trying to throw it out to Brett here, but the music I'm hearing from Brett, you're not fucking slowing down and you're not holding back the chaos. And I love that about you, Brett. You're one mean motherfucker. I love that. And I'm inspired by that. I'm inspired to constantly, it's funny. Oh no, now I'm on a rant. Sorry. So, it's really interesting that my computer's dying, and thank you again, Brett. Jay's coming over on Wednesday to put the fucking thing back together. And I'm doing this work at the moment and I'm backing it up, but I'm doing it knowing that I might lose this. So whatever I'm doing right now, it might go. But there's two backups and they're off backups, so don't freak out. They're not on the computer, they're independent drives. But it's put shit into this really weird and interesting mindset that this could be gone. And that's kind of exciting. And it's also really interesting that there's something happening in myself that I'm really questioning, is that once upon a time, a year ago, when I had an idea, it felt like a solid mass, this imaginary solid mass that I was forming. Now it feels like water and it's just falling through my fingers. And that's really weird. And I'm not sure why it feels like that, but in the last, I've redone, I think this is one of the reasons it's not going on Patreon. Also, I get so nervous that I don't want these tracks going out. I don't want one of my Patreon supporters going, oh, I'm going to put this online. Why I haven't really posted very many Angelspit stuff is because it's changing. The tracks are really changing. Like I'm going back to it going, no, I don't want to hear drums that go boots, cha anymore. Fuck that shit up. If Dave Nato Hazelwood from fucking Annie Nowhere League played this shit right now, what would he do? What would the drums do? What manic fucking, like, if this is not a statement of fucking seething anger that's saying fuck you, I don't know. And you'll notice that I've just contradicted everything I've said. There you go. That's my brain. Chaos and order. Ivan, put me out of my misery.
Oh crap. I lost track of where I was. No, I totally lost track of where I was. The cat distracted me because it was treat o'clock.
Gather your thoughts, my darling. And I'm going to throw this to Alex, and I'm going to throw it back to you.
Have you ever tried making music with your iPad as a recorder?
No. And it's interesting you say that because I am currently looking at, like, I can't do it because it becomes really fucking frustrating. And I can't go, like, if the computer doesn't have a mouse, I will throw the computer out the window. Yet there are other things I can do, and things like if it can't keep up with my ideas, I can't fucking use it. Like that's
Hmm.
why I have to use a DAW, and the computer's got to be fucking jamming, or I'm using a modular or a synth. I can't use a built-in sequencer. Um, there's and maybe I haven't found the right software. I used to write, there's like 2 or 3 albums where I wrote everything on a little app that had a little MIDI sequencer on it on the iPad. I don't do that anymore.
Hmm.
I now write it on my super expensive Yamaha PSS 170 keyboard that I got for free, thanks mum and dad, and a piece of paper. And for some reason, it's better. I don't know why. But if someone else did that, they're going to say, I'm going to throw the piece of paper and the keyboard across the room. It's like, I get it. I totally get it. That didn't make sense. Rosie, talk to me. Oh, Alex, did you want to jump
I
in on anything?
just want to say, imagine there's someone listening doesn't know that you're joking when you say it was super expensive and thinks it like Googles it and is surprised that it's not like a giant
Yeah,
Yamaha workstation.
it's a pissy little keyboard. Thank you. That mum and dad got from a Goodwill thrift shop for free. And it's got a great samba beat on it. And it's like one of those little toy things. Um, it's absolute crap, but I've written 3 Ice Planet 9000 albums on it and 4 Angelspit albums on it. I can't remember. I've done so much shit on that keyboard because it's a piece of shit. And I keep going back to that samba beat going, isn't it amazing that the whole culture of samba music or whatever music has been simplified into a button that sounds like that? And it makes me think about genre, and it makes me think about audiences' ability to accept and understand, and wank versus experimentation and sonic exploration, and blah, 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 blah. I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. But thank you, Alex. Razi, can you?
Yeah,
'Cause I
speaking of your tablet and Samba beat button, my phone had this really like awesome music notepad thing, and you'd like play your chords into it and sing your thing, and then you'd say click the picture of a bass and it would put a bass line on it, and it was a pretty good bass line, and then you click the button and you put the drum kit, little drum picture of drum kit, and it was pretty good drums. Wrong time signature, that's not my downbeat, but then you can shift it and put it where it was supposed to be. And like, I don't know if I ever used it, but they got rid of it. No, I mean, I don't know if I ever got a song out of it. I used the hell out of it because it was so fucking nice to have the ideas just pop up. Like, yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, now I've got accompaniment, and you could put a couple of extra, maybe 1 or 2 tracks over it. I don't even remember the specifics of it. Anyway, music
The
notation
nice
things.
thing is that it gave you the chords and
Yeah, it did. Right,
It wasn't
right.
always correct, but it was like help.
It will divide it. It'll show you where it would loop if it was 8 bars and put the chord names above your chord changes and stuff. It was fucking cool.
Thank you. And I just want to circle back to D. Your comment is that, yet in a way, I really agree with what you said about, pissing people off and making haters. There's a part of me that really agrees with that and really wants that. And I have learnt that the motherfucker I want to piss off the most is me. And I found that if I write a song and I don't have a reaction of what the fuck is this? And that's the real irony about when people talk to me about I like your old stuff better than your new stuff, is that and I had a realization with this week, something happened. What the fuck was it that happened where I listened to a track that I listened to roughly from that period, and I was washed over with this feeling of nostalgia. And while I was going, wow, I'm really feeling this nostalgia right now. But then I went, wait a minute, what is my brain doing right now? What is being triggered? What is triggering this wave of, and it was really interesting. Like, I can't remember. I think I found an old playlist that had, all this shit on it, like Birthday Massacre and fucking 17 by I forgot that band's name. My second Alec Empire and all this shit. It's fucking great. But it was very interesting that uh when Angelspit's music first came out, and when a lot of the music from that period came out, and you read Skinny Puppy interviews and they go, everybody hated Two Duck Park. They fucking did. And now it's seen as a work of genius. And I just don't, this is the thing I don't understand is that how, like, because Crunk House was voted the most loved album. This magazine did. What band do you love the most? What band do you hate the most? Angelspit was the first band to get both on the same year, the most loved and the most hated. And the reviews for Crunk House, they were fucking awful. So, oh my God, some of them were terrifying, like really offensive. And you know, and what's so interesting for me to look back at this with an analytical mind going, how did that happen? And in this, and it all comes down to, dude, I've just got to do what I think's real, what I think's right. And the only person that I was trying to offend, or that we were trying to offend during Crunk House was us. And that has constantly stayed the same. And whenever I have tried to appease someone, whenever I've tried to appease an audience, I fuck it up. And that is exactly what Bowie said, never play to the gallery. Those people who you want to fucking get in with and go to their cool cocaine parties, fuck them. Fuck them. And if you want to party with the crew and the techs. Don't fucking with directors and dancers and fucking musicians can fuck off. It's the most boring party ever. And they don't fucking care. You know, that is the thing that I'm constantly trying to remind myself. And like you said, it's risk. It is risk and chaos. So I absolutely disagree with you. And I absolutely agree with you. So in my magazine, you are first and last, which is also, I believe, the name of God. So there you go. Alpha and Omega, baby. Yours. In the city where no, that's bullshit. Cocaine was invented by John Cocaine. I dated his sister. Crazy girl. And his brother actually cut my hair. Yeah, everyone knew him. I think I'm going to stop right now before YouTube jumps on this. Ivan, help.
Okay, on the people hating you thing, I like one of the reasons that I fit in so well at Midway Games, and or one of the things that I learned at Midway Games was that like managing the hatred that you receive can be done right or it can be done poorly. But if you do it right, you're doing, like as long as they're spelling your name correctly, things are okay. Because at Midway, it was not uncommon for a while there to have to get through the protesters to get to work in the morning. Because Mortal Kombat attracted just the right kind of nutcases, and mostly on the hater side. And weirdly enough, those same people also drove sales of the game. When Narc 2 came out, a game that wasn't actually that good, like camera work sucked. The haters of Narc 2 included the governor of Illinois, who every opportunity he had for a little bit there, he was on the news spelling our name correctly and telling people how much we sucked. And, Narc 2 should not have done well because it was not really that good of a game. But it did great because he spelled our name correctly. And I would go so far as to say if I were to suddenly get transported back in time and find myself making music in the mid 80s, I would specifically go out of my way to write stuff that is so satanic that it just drives the PMRC people freaking crazy as long as they keep spelling the name correctly. Because, that would have resulted in gold albums without trying. In fact, that would have probably sold platinum level albums without trying, because that is an easy thing to do. And, it results in sales, because sometimes hate is a good thing, when you use it like a weapon against the haters, turn their hatred into your weapon.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. There's so much rage going on in the comments right now. And Alistair, thanks for jumping in. Okay, thank you. Alex, talk to me.
Sorry, I was distracted. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Isn't it interesting? Like, how do you uh how do you focus this energy? And that's such a huge one. Um, you know, I think this segues very I'm going to segue this up once you're done, Alex, FYI, to the resonator, because the question is, what is dark electronic music? This segues nicely. Alex, hit me.
I'm really glad that I am slowly becoming less of a people pleaser. And I think it has to do lots with self-confidence and maybe a self-assurance that is helpful. That's not very wise, but I think there's a really healthy way in engaging with that, being like maybe not a maniac, but an icebreaker that way to signal aim for a direction that you.
Yeah. And once again, I absolutely agree with you. This is something you are going to struggle with. Everybody will struggle with their whole life. It's a part of being unfortunately, a tribal being, is that a communal being, is that to be ousted from the tribe really fucking sucks. And you don't want to be, your natural instinct is to play it safe within the boundaries of the community. But the difficulty is, if you're an artist, there is this inner, shall I say, obligation that you impose. Or look, I'm speaking I'm projecting here, that I impose to be an outspoken bastard and to be a very, very, very edgy prick. And I don't want to be, and I want to be nice, and I want to have lots of friends, but I'm a righteous cunt. Self-righteous cunt, excuse me. And, when I read my lyrics and when I listen to the music, it's like, you are trying to fucking offend people, dude. So, I don't know. I don't know. Brett, I always talk to you when everything's on fire and fucked. Give me advice.
So I'm going to also steer this a little bit towards the what makes our music dark, I guess. But all of us are artists are in a genre that is already one of the kind of not the it's not the cool kids club. I mean, it is to us, but not enough to play Super Bowl halftime shows. That kind of cool, right? So the there's something kind of freeing about that should be absolutely terrifying to others, I think, because if you're already ostracized, then what do you have to lose by turning it into a weapon? And I think that speaks to the whole counterculture, if you will, whether it be rock and roll, whether it be punk, whether it be any of it. It is a middle finger, and it's a response to the world around us. And I think as artists, we're at least figuring out a way to take these things and put them into a safe category, meaning, or a safe outlet, I should say. You know, you don't have to listen to it. You can turn it off, but you don't get to say it doesn't exist. I think that's really where it's at.
That's actually very wise. I really appreciate that. Thank you. You can turn it off, but you can't say it doesn't exist. That's good. Thank you. Alex, invade my brain.
I think one should not look for the sound characteristics itself, whether it's dark electro or not, but more towards the attitude the music is made in, and that's like projected.
Okay, thank you. And I was also thinking that it's when you're a freak among freaks and you feel like you're, because if you're like a goth industrial artist, artists are always on the edge. But if you're on a community that's on the edge and you're on the edge of that community, you're kind of going, oh, maybe I am a bit weird. Guys, those people who think I'm weird, they're freaks. And they think I'm weird. I don't know. Rezi, do you want to actually jump in and pose the question? Because the way you posed it at the beginning, and pose is probably the wrong word.
The way that it was phrased in
Right.
my notes was, is dark electronic a sound, an aesthetic, or a coping mechanism? And does it matter? I think that's a personal answer, and it could be just one word, so I'm not sure it even is as expansive as what people have already been offering. And I don't know if I have an answer to it, but it makes me think a little bit, at least. So maybe we're talking about goth industrial, the genre that's now 30, 40 years old or whatever, and still, you know, kicking along for a lot of people. I don't know if it dies with us, but is that
It doesn't die with us.
yeah,
It won't. Isn't that fucking amazing?
I think it
This
became
will not die with
yeah.
us. Yeah. Because when I go to a club, it's full of young kids. Like anybody under 30 is a young kid. And I'm
Sure.
not calling them baby bats because that's shitty. I'm calling them something equally shitty, which is young kids, young adults.
At least that makes you sound like more of an old fart than calling
it
baby
does.
bats as a pejorative. Cuts
But it
both
won't,
ways.
it won't die with us.
No.
That's exciting.
Well, there's a term for when a subculture becomes a genre or something. I'm not sure what that emergence is, but it is a permanent genre in some ways, or at least a long-lived one. The end cap on mine was, and does it matter? I don't know if that really caps it in any specific way, but my feeling is that there's a bit of a self-fulfilling joiner, but it's just us kids here kind of aesthetic quality to it besides the expressive quality. And there's something incorporating taste and preferences and peer pressure and capabilities and technology that all gets wrapped up in this thing. So yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. And DJ's fucking playing it. D funnily said it's undead. Boom chish.
Nice.
Nice. Brett, what are your thoughts on this? And there's a lot of room for puns in here, so go for it.
I'm going to go with yes, Razi. The answer is yes. To all of it. I don't know if it's intentional, but you find the commonalities across all genres of art. I mean, whether it be, you know, when I say all genres of art, I mean like, you know, we do musical arts. You find the same elements of what is dark in visual arts, movies, sculpture, you know, and in fact, it is so pervasive that there was actually a psychological experiment done, and I'm going to get the terms wrong, but there was two terms that they made up One was like, I'm just gonna create something here. One was like bloop, and the other one was tweak. Whatever. And then they handed people two shapes, just two shapes, and said which one is bloop and which one is tweak. Alex, you sound like you know what I'm talking about.
It's Kiki and Boba.
There you go. Kiki and Poopa. Alex, go ahead, man. You know it as well, man. Jump in.
Yeah, basically it's a linguistic experiment where you have two shapes. One is spiky, the other one is round. And people will ask which one is Kiki, which one is Boba. And among all people from different cultures, backgrounds, native languages, language they speak at all, there was a common conception that the sharp one was Kiki and the round one was Boba, which is interesting because that means that language is not completely arbitrary, but there are some things in the human cognition that make us perceive things in certain ways.
This reminds me of the word Tinettenbach, which is from the IT crowd. That's fascinating. What does it have to do with goth? Not that I'm a goth. I'm not a goth. But what does it have to do? Because Brett, you're such a goth.
It's language at the end of the day. But what is darkness in a genre? I mean, that is a form of language. And so, I mean, it is the thing you're communicating, and these have similarities. And so, yeah, it may not be that you must use electric guitars, but you're probably going to use distortion.
Thank you, Alex. Your hand's still up. Did you want
to? Yes. The first thing I wanted to say, I think we live in interesting times because even in popular music, there's much experimentation and more than you would think. I listened back to Man Eater by Nelly Furtado, and I listened to it the first time through these, and there's a sub bass which has like form and vocal qualities to it. I never heard it before because I just had crappy speakers in my childhood bedroom. But it's like really experimental, and I wouldn't have thought that something so interesting sounding was part of a like major pop summer hit. So it blew me away, but I would still not call it dark or something because even though it's thematically very dark, but I wouldn't call it dark electro because it's like a different attitude towards it. And the other thing, I went to the club yesterday, and the same thing. They played many 80s dance hits, and it was a goth night supposedly, but I was kind of not feeling it because like I didn't feel like it was well under that umbrella. Yeah.
I think, isn't it funny how we hate being called goths? Because I'm not a goth. But Alex, you're such a fucking goth. And Razi is like goth. I mean, you're such a fucking goth. Oh God, Brett, you're such a goth. I think the greatest insult you could call me would be a New Zealand goth. You mean that New Zealand goth guy? My God, the rancor. Dude, you're such a goth. Yeah, that rolls. That's the best diss ever. It's very interesting that I don't know what dark electronic means. I know that yeah, it's just naturally, it's the choice of sounds. I'm attracted to this sound. I'm attracted to this type of sound. I'm attracted to these chord progressions. I'm attracted to these lyrics. I'm attracted to these melodies. I'm attracted to this distortion, and I'm just attracted to this yelling. That there is anger and that there is something of more. Yeah, I don't know why. And then everything I wear is covered in pentagrams and goth things, although I'm not a goth. I'm like Razi, who's a total goth. Yeah, I don't I don't know. It's a very interesting question though. But it's funny that in my experience with other uh in my other meetings of people, Atom Bomb, you need to change your name to Goth Bomb. In my meeting of other people in like in other dark bands, the heavier the bands are, the nicer the people are. They're really nice people who cathartically scream out their angst every night. And yet, as I meet ambient artists, those bitches need therapy. I mean, they're predominantly they're quite angry people. That's just what I've noticed. Yeah, and same with pop, people who do pop, they're just writhing. But anyway, yeah, if you're screaming about fucking Satan or something every night, it's like, yeah, man, I feel great. I don't know why. I don't know why it is. But why is it? Tell me, spread
You get
wisdom.
it out of the system. That's why.
Yeah.
That's really it. You know, when I was growing up, they were like, no, all these kids listening to heavy metal and whatnot, they're going to be the worst ever. 10 years later, they're like, holy crap, this is the most well-adjusted generation ever. And I'm like, it's brain damage. You know, it's the thing you don't understand about somebody else, and you think you can put them in your nice, neat boxes, and it don't work that way. The people who are able to exercise and express their emotions are going to be able to control them when they need to.
Thank you. Yeah. Razi, do you want to expand on the question more?
No, I like what y'all said. I'd be inventing things to say if I came up with anything more.
I've tried to do nice pop music, which was Miss Ballistic, but it was even that was dark and it was full of attitude. It wasn't, and it's a really nice thing for me to try to create nice pop, nice music. I'm not talking about Ice Planet 9000. I'm talking about because I think it takes it. There's an absolute skill in being able to write pop music. Like it's a skill, and it's nice to try to achieve that skill. You might, like all skills, it's good to work on it. But yeah,
I guess
everything I do is angry, just like fucking Diana the Goth. God, she's such a goth, Diana. Go
if
ahead.
there was one thing that sort of, I don't know if it distills anything, but there's goth, the ideal aesthetic and music genre, and then there's the bands that are associated with it and that don't write strictly music that would fit into that category, which is most of them. The breadth and multitudes outside of the pretty narrowly defined thing. And the same with like pure industrial dance. I mean, there's like 4 songs that are the archetype, and then there's a million bands that riff off it and have aesthetics that are related to it. That's where the power, interest, sustainability comes in, is that there's a core aesthetic, and then there's and you can do this with it. That doesn't get you kicked out of the club, but if you just played Friday I'm in Love, you're like, what do they have to do with goth? That kind of thing.
Yeah. You're such a goth, Rosie.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no, it is interesting. And again, there is actually a lot more leeway, like you said, that you can goth on into. And the audience are a lot more forgiving and a lot more open to chaos and all that sort of shit. So yeah. But you're a bunch of goths. So goth. Was there anybody else who wanted to jump in on this one? Because it's a very interesting topic, although I'm being a total bastard right now. Anybody I haven't called a goth yet? Said fucking Alex the fucking goth. Okay, maybe not. Hey, so I bought a new piece of gear. It was very cheap. It was a modular thing.
Tape delay?
Huh?
Tape delay?
No, no, so I thank you for reminding me of that. It's quite inexpensive, and it takes a digital signal and turns it into a modular signal, and vice versa. And the reason I got it is because I need a really good oscilloscope for reasons like I need to get into fine tuning these notes and da 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 da, and making sure frequencies and blah blah blah. And in order for me to do this, I have to get a really fucking expensive oscilloscope. So instead of getting a super expensive oscilloscope, I got a module that's going to talk to the iPad. Then for $6, I can put in, for fact, for free, but the good one I want to get $6. I can put this really awesome oscilloscope on the iPad, and I can also get a plug-in of a tape delay too, on the iPad, because it can send and receive audio, this little gadget. So I can now send modular level stuff to the iPad, and the iPad can tell me the exact frequency, the exact response, the whole kit and caboodle. So I can be doing some really super fine tunings, because as much as I love my strobe fucking pedal tuner, which is the best pedal, it doesn't tell me hertz, and I've got to know hertz now. It's got a hertz. I hertz myself today so I can tune my fucking synths. But in doing so, I've come to realize that I can use my phone, old phones and old iPads as effects units. So I can be sending bus information to this module, who then sends it digitally. Because my favorite, if you're going to buy a fucking tape delay now, it's going to be digital. And I can get it on my phone instead. There you go. I can finally get that fucking Moog phaser. Anyway, there you go. That's Carl's life. Ivan, the Goth. What are you thinking inside your dark Gothic
Yeah, I'm
mind?
pretty sure if we went back to 1978 and told Peter Murphy he was goth, he would be like, "What?"
Be like, I'm not Goth. Ow, ow! You don't know my pain. I'm not Goth. Ow. That's what he'd say.
But yeah, no, having a way to get CV or audio or anything out of Eurorack into a computer, as something other than just like the strict audio signal is kind of handy. I've got a Expert Sleepers ES9, which breaks out into like a bunch of like CVs, and it will send ADAT over to my audio interface, and then from VCV Rack or even Ableton, I can just grab that from there, and boom, it just works. It's nice. And if I need to dump it into an oscilloscope, VCV Rack's got one of those, and Ableton can do the job as well if it's got a good clean signal, and this makes getting that good clean signal much easier.
Thank you. I actually realized I have this Goth character that comes out after a few beers named Kenneth the Gothic Prince. Was that actually a guy? I can't remember. But yeah. Frillies and great lyrics. Fuck, was that a guy? It may have been a guy. Thanks. Alex the Goth, the German Goth. Oh, tell me about your pain, Alex.
In theory, you could, if you can send signals from your computer, you could clock your modular from your computer, and maybe even your. I don't know if the Moog accepts clock signals, but there could be an idea. Also, I couldn't talk about something else, but I think I put it in the end.
The answer is yes, yes, and yes. But what I'm wanting to do is having a standalone thing that is there, and it's big flashy lights, so it looks cool, because I'm vacuous, because I'm a goth. You don't know my pain, because I'm a goth. Alex, did you want to say anything else then, or will I throw this to Brett the Goth?
Maybe.
Okay, well, at the end, we're going to throw back to you. Brett the Goth, oh, tell me your pain.
I'm actually turning into Brett the Nerd again. Oscilloscope. I'm interested in this idea more. What is it actually that you're going to use the oscilloscope for?
Well, first and foremost, I need it as a tuner. So I need an accurate hertz that's going on. Just because I'm doing these weird tunings and shit. Secondly, I need to be making sure that there's offset, that the offset's correct. Because sometimes some of the sounds that I'm using are actually clock signals that are super fast, and clock signals are 0 to +5, not -5 to +5. So they're going like this as opposed to like this. And the problem with signals that only do this is that when you start adding them on top of each other, they get very loud very quickly. Whereas if you're taking some and instead of it, so I'm going to use that one as minus, when you multiply those two, when you mix them together, there's this really nice frequency displacement thing that happens that doesn't make shit as loud. And reasons, and I have to make sure that some stuff is more sine wave because I want sine waves. And plus, just reasons in general that I need to be checking on the sounds and going, this is working or this is not working. And
So
go ahead.
Yeah, I don't want to take away from that, but you might be able to save yourself, some coin, because I'm finding oscilloscope app after oscilloscope app.
Yes.
And so, if you don't absolutely need the standalone oscilloscope, then maybe you can accomplish the same thing with a much cheaper app.
That's what I'm doing. Is that the unit I've bought will go to modular via your phone's digital input.
Okay.
So it's a little digital analog and analog to digital. So it's 2 ins and 2 outs. So I can plug into it, pull up the oscilloscope to look at the app, and the app I want actually costs $6. As opposed to getting one of those fantastic Korg things, which costs several $100.
Or one of the standalone oscilloscopes, which can easily hit like $3,000.
Yeah. And these do it all. And therefore, because I'm also looking at some of the there's other shit like Moog's got stuff. We were talking about tape delays and all this other stuff that now I've got this thing. I can also be utilizing tape delays, etc. Because the processing power of my iPad, although it is old, is totally usable to be a tape delay or a fucking like no. I want to know if Noise Engineering has their shit as iPad things, because this has become a very exciting thing to me because I'm such a nerd. I'm a gothic nerd. Oh, you don't know my pain. Now, I see the hand of the resonator. I want to throw this to the gothic Resi. Resi in your darkness, bringing your knowledge and your light.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say.
Dude, I'm sorry. Like, that's such a ball.
Hey, that's my line.
But these t-shirts, are they any blacker?
I sold my last hardware oscilloscope in 2005 when I moved here. So that's all I have to say, I guess.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
Thanks, Gothic Resi.
Yeah.
Isn't it like such a goth? When was the last time you wore eye makeup? Here's a serious question.
It's been a few months. I don't have a lot of, like, you have to either want to look at yourself a lot or want to go outside, and I don't do a lot of either of those. But I have had it in my mind to get a new wardrobe. At least I've got that, and this would be a very goth wardrobe, goth as fuck. Like, but something like, it's hard to do like a desert ready goth without looking like you're going to Burning Man. And I don't know what the exact, I know there's a distinction there, like the dreads and the black, like goggles or something is going to be like,
I know, goggles. No.
I know. It's like that. There's a lot of go-tos there.
What you can do is put on goggles and then spray around them, then take the goggles off. You
There'll be
can
no
do that.
spraying of makeup for me. I'm a liquid eyeliner and crayon kind of person,
Raccoon
along with the
eyes.
powder.
Yeah.
I think one thing I did want to mention is that the multi-touch interface on iPad really lends itself to a lot of good stuff, and I haven't exploited that. And it's just something to keep in the back of mind when you're loading up on these processing through effects. Not so much an oscilloscope, but like anything that has processing, being able to do a couple of parameters at a time. Like the one thing that I use an iPad for in routine production is faders on a mix, because you can hit two of them at once instead of click, mouse, drag. And just something to keep in mind. I don't really have any specific suggestions, since it's been a long time. I don't know why I can't keep iPad in my music processing flow, but it's a good device for that because
There's
of
so much
multi-touch.
fucking shit you can get on it.
And it's
Like,
pretty like to look at, and it's
Like, come
intuitive.
on, how many people have got phones that they don't use anymore?
Yeah.
And you can still get fucking software for those phones, guys. You can get one of these things or a device. And the older the phone, the better, because getting audio into the phones in the olden days wasn't such a pain in the dick. It's fucking easy back then. Yeah, go you, Brett. I'm jealous of all your phones.
Still easy. I don't know if it really got complicated.
Well, that's
I mean,
why I
USB-C
had to get this
days
I had to get this fucking module bullshit, because it's taking because phones want to hear a microphone input these days.
You have an analog input on your phone?
No, the
Exactly.
digital
So
input.
it's the
Well,
audio
apparently it's
interface.
looking for a fucking analog, a fucking mic. Oh, look, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But what I do know is that life's so hard because I'm a goth. And maybe the reason that your music is so pain is that you're not wearing eyeliner anymore.
I know. I should.
Maybe, and it's serious, maybe everybody needs to everybody in the chats, even Diana the Goth and Adam the Goth and Eliza the fucking Goth and Dee the fucking Goth, need to fucking wear more fucking eyeliner, even when you're not going out. I'm putting on my eyeliner. Did you know every morning Frank spends 3 hours doing his makeup? Frank's white. He's a fucking white cat, but he's there doing his whole body. That
My
guy is
dude.
devoted.
You know, all cats are gray.
Yeah. Frank's like white because he's got the best white. God, he's got great eyes. I used to not like tabbies. Like I used to go, tabby, meh. Now it's like, wow, these cats are fucking beautiful. I'm now throwing this to the Ivanator. Ivan, tell me about your gothic hair, fear, and
I do
doom
have
and darkness.
Over in the one of the hardware drawers, I do have a oscillator that's pretty good.
Hold on, an oscillator or an oscilloscope?
An oscillator, an oscilloscope. Yeah, it's pretty good. That I bought on I bought it on Amazon like ages ago, and there's a whole way to convert it over to Eurorack so that it can just live in the rack. And I keep meaning
Is it
to do
red?
it. Yes.
The DC something 39. I was looking at that one, but I went too hard. They're really good. They're really fucking good.
It is really good. It's really accurate. It's nice. For just tuning though, I will often just grab the chord tuning pedal and throw it on and turn the knob until it comes in at the right note.
The problem I've got is that I'm not tuning to straight notes. I'm tuning to weird notes, like micro tones.
Yeah, and that oscilloscope could handle that without breaking a sweat, which is one of the nice things about it.
Thank you, Ivan. I really appreciate that. Alex, you wanted to talk about something? Let's go.
Yes, 2 hacks. I don't know. If you have signals that don't go into the negative, but you want them to be more like audio signals, in theory, you could just use a low pass filter, because the static voltage is just very, very low voltage. So if you have like a high pass filter that filters out the low frequencies, you can use it to make it more like you want it to be, like also negative.
Remove DC offset.
Yes, DC offset.
Right.
So high pass will do that.
It should, in theory. I have it wasn't perfect for me, but it made it not be 0 to +5 or -5, and be somewhat symmetrical around 0. You could, if you have some left over, you can experiment with that. Makes
I didn't
stuff
know
a
this.
lot
Thank you.
easier. Also, I used a spectrum analyzer, but I did it just with holding my phone to the speaker and then picking out the frequency. I don't know if this helps you, but that's the way I did it.
Well, okay, so this is interesting that that's what I was doing. I just put it through a little speaker and stuck my fucking phone next to it because I've got a really great little tuner on my phone. But the problem I had was the tuner was going, it wasn't listening. It was having trouble finding the frequency because I was saying this 3,496 frequency fucking hertz, whatever it was going, oh, I can't hear it. The speaker couldn't fucking relay it correctly. So it was going, oh, that's only 400 cycles. And it's like, it's not. You're not listening. And plus, it was also listening to everything going on in the house. So it was going, ooh. So these are good. Happy, joy. But the workaround of what I was doing thank you, with this offset issue was I was taking some signals and going positive and going a bunch of other signals, a bunch of other frequencies, and inverting them, smashing the two, helium colliding the two together, and which was chaos. But what came out was really interesting. Rezi, what are your thoughts?
If I'm not mistaken, more than mic input or the interface caring what the signal level really is, because most of them are pretty sensitive and can boost anything from line level to from mic level to line level, 60 dB of gain, 80 dB of gain. That's probably covered, but you do need it to be DC coupled so that when you put a 0 voltage in, it actually reads as 0, and when there's an offset, it reads as an offset. So most, I think, interfaces are kind of like that, but they certainly specify, and any search on that term will render one that truly does have DC coupling. That's a table stakes for hooking up to your modular shit.
That's a really good point, because another thing I really want is that I will assume that if I put actually, that would be really interesting. If I'm putting a modular signal into this thing, it is plus or minus 5 volts, which is a control of frequency. It's just that it's operating in audio. But can it be giving me also a readout of what the voltage is? Because if I'm just using a joystick or something as a controlling source, that would be interesting. Not that I'd ever use that, although there's been a whole bunch of times. I actually use Sonic Tools, thank you, Alex, on my phone. There's been a lot of times when I need to find out what I'll put a 5-volt signal into a resistor, and it'll come out. I go, I don't know what the fuck this is, because I want it to be 1 volt so it can be an octave. I don't know. So shit like that's going to be really handy.
Did you actually end up with a rig, or these are just things that you're shopping around for right now?
No, I got one.
Okay.
It's a and we'll talk more off camera because we should get to the point.
Oh, look at the time. Look at the time.
Yeah, look at the time. On that, does anybody else want to jump in any final fucking amazing pieces of information?
Stick a capacitor across it, then you're done. That'll remove your DC offset. That's the most simple high pass filter.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. See, this is something I want. I want someone to build a passive modular stuff that's got passive attenuators in them, and it's also got a passive 25% resistor cut down. So anything you put in there is going to be 25%. So if you put 4 volt, it'll be 1 volt. If it's 5 volt, it'll be 1.25 volt. Bunch of them. And capacitors that are just going to be doing a standard high pass. A whole bunch of fucking shit like that. I don't need Andor and all this fucking shit. Don't need it. I just need something like a toolkit that I tried to build this toolkit of a whole bunch of resistors that were like random cut downs because I'm like the amount of my gear that doesn't have a attenuator on it. Like the filter's got to have an attenuator for the fucking CV input.
Well, back in my day, we just called that the back left wall of Radio Shack.
Right. But yeah, but I'll stand by it. I wish somebody would fucking do that because I'm too much of an idiot. And also a passive fucking slew limiter. Like so much shit. Alex, you want to talk? Go.
If you, not you specifically, but if someone listening wants to do this DIY, the Dipfer website has or either had DIY instructions for building low-pass filters and attenuators and stuff.
Oh, there you go. Good to know. Unfortunately, I am awful at electronics. The only way I will get better is by practicing. God's sake, Carl, you're a lazy prick. Thank you for joining the Art of Rock. We're done now. We're here every week. This time, although 2 hours ago, we come here and we bitch about music and all sorts of shit. And today was a good session. Thank you. Oh, look. Hold on. Can I copy this? Copy link. There's some fine dope for playthings right there. This is made possible with Angelspit's Patreon. Hey, if you're not a member, you should join for free. And by the way, Ivan, there we go. Half my bloody Patreon people are fucking musicians. So your project that you're working on, butter. Go join for free, or it can be as little as $3 a month. Apple, by the way, is changing the way we pay soon, which is such a pain in the crack. Fuck 'em. New Ice Planet 9000 album. If you want some calm, go get some fucking calm. And watch Artemis, by the way. Holy shit. Fuck me dead. If you want a life-changing experience, The Last Week in Space. Okay, look, I'm going to say it. There's a very famous poem called Whitey's on the Moon. And that was in the 70s, late 60s, 70s, that was talking about the massive problems, the massive class divide, massive race divide. It was a big issue that that was happening among the Black community in the United States. That was terrible poverty and it was bad and all this shit was going on, but Whitey's on the moon. And I think the thing about, I think NASA listened to that. Because the amount of money that Artemis costs compared to a lot of the other stuff that's going on in the world is fucking cheap. And I think Artemis was a massive step in bringing humanity together. And a lot of the technology that went into Artemis has got direct use in medical and a lot of other things too. So I want to say it was actually money really well spent. So because it's reminded us that we've got to look after each other. And if you listen to what those astronauts were saying constantly, the Earth is so small. We need to look after the small. Wow, I can't even see the atmosphere from here. I'm looking at, no, that's not the atmosphere. That's the saline thing, which is like 300, 200 miles above the breathable atmosphere. You can't even tell the clouds from the Earth from here because the atmosphere is so fucking thin. Sorry, Brett, go.
The sodium line.
Sodium line, thank you. Yeah, this shit is important. So put on your fucking makeup, go to a fucking club and enjoy it. And get some plans to do something about your fucking carbon footprint. But well, legit, we have never looked over so nerdy shit. Shame most folk who didn't fully. Yeah. Oh my God. It was such a moment. It was such a fucking moment. If you're having trouble with what's going on in the United States and the world right now, join Indivisible. Join fucking Indivisible. Ladies and gentlemen, a massive fucking court ruling recently said that YouTube and Meta are addictive. They said they're addictive. Countries are now taking steps, except this one. That will go and help you. We should have a fucking conversation about that, by the way. Razi, thank you so much for co-hosting and keeping it together when Frank demands my attention.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. Anytime your cat needs your attention, I'm here for you, man. I'm here.
Thank you. It's always treat o'clocks here, snacks o'clock. We are now going to zoom on over to MTV TV. And so Diana, if you're there, let's start that right Gothic Diana and Gothic Adam. Please start that raid and let's jump on over there. And if you've got music that you want to bloody play, just send it to them and they will play it, guys. I hate making videos, but we've got to make videos because they're fun. So let's do that raid. And there was probably things I was supposed to, and here's a bunch of people who are fucking amazing. Hold on. Brett, this is Brett's music. Go listen to Brett's music. Oh yeah. This is Ivan. Where the fuck is your, here's Ivan's SoundCloud. Go listen to fucking Ivan. Alex, I asked you for your fucking music and you never gave me your fucking music. Except this Tumblr right here. Have we rated yet?
Rated.
Ivan, Burns, everyone, and Resi. Yeah, all right. Bugger off.
We're rated.
Okay, see you next week. We're gonna stay back here and chat. We're gonna stay back